Hi, I'm Judy Russell with SBR.TV. UFC 128 takes place March 19th at the Prudential Centre in Newark, New Jersey, home of JJ Gold, and features a light heavyweight title match between Shogun versus Jones. But there are 11 other fights on the card, and SBR Forum writer Craig Tatton has made his picks. So we're here to speak with SBR Forum poster and MMA expert Vaughnie, who is going to tell us whether he agrees or disagrees with Tatton and why. Thanks for being here, Vaughnie.
Hi Judy, thanks for having me.
Before we take a look at your picks, let's get a little background about you. First off, where are you from?
Well, I'm actually from the London area in England, near Silverstone Racetrack, where I do the Formula 1.
So, and listen, how popular is MMA and UFC at home?
Well, it's growing at a decent rate. It's obviously not mainstream yet. It's not as big as it is in America. We've still got football and rugby dominating.
So how are you doing so far this year with MMA and UFC picks?
I'm doing pretty good, to be honest. I've done well recently, thanks to Michael Bisping winning by TKO, so I made about 1,500 so far this year, so
nice.
It's looking good so far. Yeah, it could be worse.
Very good. And how do you decide on your picks? Do you use stats or do you watch each game?
Well, yeah, it's all pretty much based on how the styles match up between each fighter. Obviously, if you've got a fighter who's got superior wrestling, then obviously that's going to give you the edge on that. I wouldn't say I'd use stats as such.
And do you avoid the heavy favourites, or do you like to bet on them as well?
I used to be guilty of chasing the chalk, as I say, but I soon realised that doesn't really work in mixed martial arts betting. I think that was when BJ Penn lost to Frankie Edgar the first time. That's when I realised that it's not really sustainable betting on heavy favourites. So since then I've tried to avoid betting on anyone who's more than minus 200 favourite.
Yeah.
I look for proposition bets really instead.
Great stuff. Live and learn. And do you bet on most fights, or do you just pick the fights where you feel there's a definite lean?
Well, because I do a lot of proposition bets, I tend to have quite a lot of bets on one card, as you see on my thread. Mostly just leans on the main fights where I think the fight can win by any method. I usually have quite a few proposition bets and then do like hedges and arbs.
And listen, on average, how much do you bet on each fight? And if it's a quite personal question, but what are the usual limits on UFC fights, and do they vary a lot between books?
Obviously, I'm in Europe, so I've got a lot more sites to work from, unlike in the US, where you start with bookmaker and sport bet and 5 dimes. So the limits are pretty low still on the Euro books. They seem give you very low limits if you start getting a good run. So obviously I've had to sign up to accounts like Pinnacle, which offer a lot higher bet limits, so that's very useful. I tend to bet about £500 to £1,000
on each fight
per fight event nowadays.
And listen, do you tail anyone or fade anyone?
Oh well, when I started on that forum in the first place, I definitely tailed a few people like Brooks, Echo Side, Ill, with a couple of others who don't post so much as they used to anymore. But obviously I still look at their plays, and I won't tail as such, but I'll definitely look at their opinions and use that to augment my own thoughts on the fight.